Gaikoku Gamers.
Bite-sized.
Welcome to Gaikoku Gamers. I'm Darryl Benson, and we're here to talk to you in this bite-sized episode about Factor 5 and how it was killed by LucasArts. So, this news hasn't really been making the rounds, but I kind of figured that I needed to talk about it, especially since Factor 5 was, and well, frankly, still is, one of my favorite developers of all time. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, as many of you guys know. Right next to my desk here, I have a 12-inch Stormtrooper who keeps me company by saying witty things like that. And I've always loved the Star Wars games, even the ones that kind of sucked looking back. And one of those series that I just loved was from Factor 5, which was Rogue Squadron. And as you guys know, as the known history goes, it was because they had a release on the PS3 for its launch with their release of the game Lair that used the 6-axis controller with all motion controls. That it was because of that game and how poorly it was received and how poorly it sold compared to how much it cost, that kind of made the company in the state that it is today, which is well, pretty much gone. Technically it exists, at least a parent company of that company exists, and I know that they make some crappy mobile apps, but the developer as we know it is long gone. So I'm here to kind of talk to you about why they're gone past the Lair bit. And so basically, the former was it the president? Let me see here. Probably should have been more prepared. Sorry, guys. The former president sat down and talked about where they're going in order to try to lift themselves out. And actually, it sounds like they had a really good game plan to get themselves out of the situation that they're in, but nothing was clicking. So the first thing that they tried doing after Rogue Squadron 3, which was okay, was to release a Rogue Leader trilogy on the original Xbox with online multiplayer. That means the N64 original, the one that was on the GameCube at launch, which was Rogue Squadron 2, and then the third one, which was the one with the on-foot missions, and it was kind of awkward, but did technically include a co-op version of the whole entire second game, which was pretty cool. And to be fair, the in-flight, portions were still just as good as ever. Can you imagine having all three with updated graphics on the original Xbox? I mean, I don't know about you. With online play, that's what I'm talking about. Oh my god, I would have killed for a game like that. And, well, it turns out that they're this far away from doing it. But at the time, things were kind of going south with the economy. This is back, 2008 or so. And, well, Factor 5 wasn't doing too well, but LucasArts was almost doing worse. And a lot of the publishers and developers at the time were going under. I'm sure you guys remember plenty of developers out there like the guys who made Blur and Project Gotham, Bizarre. They went away even though they're a strong developer. A bunch of good developers from back then just faded away. And what was happening at the time is that LucasArts was trying to prevent itself from going under. So when Factor 5 was coming along and asking for all this help, they basically didn't get anything back. So they said, okay, you know what, fine. We'll scrap the Rogue Leader trilogy, the Rogue Squadron trilogy. We'll say, screw you on that, and we'll try starting a whole new Rogue Squadron and call it Rogue Squadron X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, which, yeah, that's like two loves combined, like a fusion of awesomeness. And it was going to be a launch title on the Xbox 360, which, talk about helping the launch of the Xbox 360. I mean, we had the lackluster Perfect Dark and the okay Cameo, and the pretty good Project Gotham, but I didn't get a 360 at launch. I was still a hardcore Nintendo guy back at the time, but you know, I was looking for an excuse to go back to Xbox. I just didn't think, still to this day, don't think 360 gave that excuse to me, but I damn well will tell you right now, I would have bought a launch day Xbox. I don't care how much they cost. If that game was a launch title, for sure. I love that series more than you can possibly ever imagine. So I would have bought any system. I would have bought a goddamn frickin' Atari if that series was on it. And so they made it. And it was going to basically be, you know, as you guessed it, Rebel ships versus Imperials. And it was going to have multiplayer and all that type of stuff. And it was going to be frickin' awesome. And it would have been also the first time I would have ever bought Xbox Live. But alas, it was not to be. Because once again, LucasArts management wasn't sure if a launch title made sense for them at the time. And they canceled it. So, LucasArts. Boop, boop. Anyway, so it was about that time that their second project in a row got canceled that Shuei Yoshida came by and said, hey, we really want you to make a launch game for us on the PS3. And, you know, we all kind of know how that went. He was not interested in Rogue Leader. He was not interested in Rogue Squadron. He wanted something that was not Star Wars based. So thanks, Shuei. Shu, whatever. And the result was Lair, which, you know, blah, 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 blah. We all know the crap that came with that. Now, after Lair, Factor 5 was able to venture outside of Sony past their little short-term contract. And they once again tried to go ahead and rework that Rogue Squadron trilogy that was originally made for the original Xbox. And they were going to go ahead and actually release it on the Nintendo Wii out of all systems. I guess they wanted to go back to their roots with Nintendo, which, you know... and certainly, you know, the Nintendo Wii could use some awesome third-party support from Factor 5 at the time, despite the fact it was selling like hotcakes anyway. So what they were going to add was Wii Wheel support, so you could steer the X-Wing with that, and you could manage the pedals on the balance board. And then on top of that, they had one-to-one lightsaber battles with the Wii Motion Plus that also incorporated things that, like, Wii Sports Resorts didn't incorporate, such as ducking and dodging, which is pretty cool if you think about it. It would have had 20 characters from the Star Wars universe, which is quite a bit, in addition to, of course, the whole Rogue Squadron trilogy, which would have been amazing on a Nintendo platform. And although the project was finished, the whole financial crisis at the time in 2008 just killed it. And they lost, they had a couple other games. They had a Superman game, they had a Wii Fly game, which is kind of like a Pilot Wings game, and due to their publishers all going into business, every single project fell through right at the 0 hour. So you gotta think, I mean, they're juggling like 4 or 5 games with the crap revenue stream that Lair gave them. And they couldn't sell anything because the publishers were all dying out. So, you know, in their desperation, they went to LucasArts and they said, please, can you please help us out? Can you please just bail us out? And if you do, you know, we'll make stuff solely for Star Wars. We'll be right there with you. You won't regret it. And instead of, you know, seeing how good Factor 5 had been to LucasArts and making actual quality Star Wars games for them, they basically said that because of an old debt from a long time ago to LucasArts that Factor 5 had yet to pay them back, that LucasArts would get Factor 5 and all of its assets anyway if the studio would go under, so they didn't see it very compelling to help them financially with money. Which is like the biggest dick move. I mean, I know it's business, but you know, there's got to be some like partnership that these teams had I mean, Factor 5 had been using LucasArts licenses for years and years and years, and made games better than even LucasArts could make for the Star Wars franchise. And they didn't care if they went under. So Factor 5 ended up finishing that Rogue Squadron trilogy game by themselves, but without a publisher. But since LucasArts didn't pick up the project, even though other developers, which I didn't realize this, but Namco and a few other developers were actually trying to help them out financially, which is like, props to Namco. Seriously, I have a lot more respect for them right now. While they're trying to help a little bit by giving them some money, it didn't work out, and they eventually went bankrupt. So it was kind of interesting too. He was asked whether or not he would make a Wii U game, a Star Wars Wii U game, and he quickly talked about how the Kinect did some interesting one-to-one stuff, but basically, yeah, no, it wouldn't really even talk about the Wii U. And yeah, this kind of goes into this other video I'm going to be posting tonight about Bayonetta 2 and how I don't think that's going to sell any Wii U's. And frankly, at this point, I don't think any second-party or third-party game is going to push Wii U's. So honestly, the man's at least smart in that respect. But anyway, that's besides the point. So it just really sucks to see this is how my developer died. They were doing all this stuff that I wasn't even aware of, stuff that I would literally have paid any amount of money for, because I love those games so dearly. And it's because the very game developer who was owned by George Lucas himself treated them with such disrespect and disdain that they're gone now. And you know what, all I can say is really happy that Disney bought you fuckers out, and looking forward to Star Wars Battlefront 3. So that's it. That's our bite-sized episode for today. I'm Darryl Benson. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate all your support, and we shall see you tomorrow.